Okay, hello there, I'm Dennis. Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to install Linux Lite. Linux Lite is listed on distrowatch.com. The latest release was December the 31st. This is January the 5th, so it's been, a week? We click on Linux Lite there, and it says it's based on Debian Ubuntu, LTS, and the country of origin is New Zealand. Interesting. This is their home page right here. We'll come back to that later. I got it set up in my virtual box, and this is Linux Lite 5.6 or period 6 hyphen 6. I've got it set up in the virtual box, and I've given it 2 cores of my processor, 6 gigs of RAM. The EFI is enabled. I have not turned the video memory all the way up, but I will now. And I'm using the standard VM SVGA driver, and I'll give it a 66.5 gigabyte hard drive. Let's get started here. Okay, so our first options is boot Linux Lite live system, install Linux Lite, UEFI compatibility mode Linux Lite. I'm assuming that means if you have something like an NVIDIA driver that you might need, and an OEM style for manufacturers. If you're setting up Linux Lite on somebody's best friend's laptop or something, you wouldn't have to deal with passwords. You could go ahead and just install the system. You can even install software. When they turn on the machine for the first time, they'll have to enter their name and their password, and it'll be their system. But we're going to boot the live system first. Control C to stop that. I've already checked the ISO. Make that a little bigger, maybe. My mouse is sliding in and out of there, so we must have some sort of video drivers installed, or mouse drivers, guest edition drivers, something. Always seems like it takes Linux Lite a good while to boot up the first time. Error, failed to send host log mesa. And we got sound out of the box. See, we're going to get a light welcome screen. So start here, install updates, install drivers. If you had NVIDIA driver, I'm assuming that would pick it up and allow you to install them. Set restore point, which we don't need to do that in a live environment. Language support, or dark or light theme. Let's find the installer. Let's get right at it. It'll take a second. It's loading. And that wasn't too long. And we'll make this resolution a little bigger here once I get started. So the first thing is language. It's English, and if you're interested, you can click on the release notes. While that's opening, I'll click continue. English US keyboard, all that's correct. If you have any doubt, make sure you do a small test. That's what it's there for. I see we got 199 software updates available for this fresh ISO. Here the option is download updates while installing Linux. That'll save time after the installation, obviously. And I don't have any proprietary drivers. There's not Wi-Fi or NVIDIA card. We're in a virtual box. So I'm going to leave this install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media format. I'm going to leave it unticked in this virtual box. You're setting this up on real hardware, or if you just want to go ahead and get everything installed that it thinks you need, that would be a good one to check. So we're going to click next or continue, but we'll download the updates. That's going to slow down the installation a little. All right, come on. Setting, display. Adjust this a little bit wide. Configuration, close that out. All right, so we're going to do something else here on erase the disk. Partitioning and formatting the disk. You could actually just do erase disk, get advanced features, use LVM, or experimental ZFS. Now, I had heard that wasn't experimental no more, but apparently it is. I'm going to say cancel off of that. We're going to do something else. All right, first thing we'll need is a partition table. Say OK. And we got a regular, recognizes the hard drive, so left click, highlight the free space, click on the plus button. And this first one need to be, see if my numlocks is on. Excellent. And this will be EFI system, by system partition, mounted system partition. Great. All right, I'm going to left click on the available free space here. Click plus. And we're going to give this 6 gigabytes of swap space. So that would be 6144. Use as Linux swap. All right, so we got a free space here. I'm going to click plus, and we'll divide that. Let's see. Let's go a little more than half, but close. Did that wrong. Go back to change. EFI for partition, and we're going to select the mount pointer. OK. Slash. That'll be root drive. Now we have free space here. I'm going to click on that. Mount pointer will be /home. Now we're good to go. And if you'll notice, it's not going to format the EFI, not tick is being formatted, or the swap space, but the SDA 3 and 4 will be. Install now, and it should give us basically a summary of what we're going to do. We got a ESP, swap, 2 drives, so we're good to go. All right, there we go. Chicago, that's in the central time zone. Click on that. New Chicago. Oh. Not sure what that means. New Chicago. I'm going to just see if I can get away with Chicago. Okay. I'm going to give it my name. See if it'll allow me a capital. And apparently it did. I'm going to make a password twice. We are not going to log in automatically. We're going to require the password to log in. Okay. So this is going to take a few minutes. It's going to be based a lot on the speed of your internet and the speed of their servers at the time that you're actually doing this. So let's go back to their web page a little bit here. Linux Lite's first release was October the 26th, 2012. It was codenamed Amethyst. That was Linux Lite 1.0.10. So they've been around, 8, 9, 10 years now. Linux Lite. This is Linux Lite. Home page. Index.html. Here you get your downloads, information, and a real sensitive I don't know what you call that, web page. Free operating system, Linux Lite. Linux Lite was created to make transition from Windows to Linux-based operating systems as smooth as possible. It does this by providing easy-to-use familiar software such as Skype, Steam, Kodi, Spotify, free Office Suite, and a familiar user interface or desktop environment. Linux Lite follows the Unix philosophy in regards to the software selection and programming as it applies to the modern era. Select and write programs that do one thing but do it well. By continuing to improve on what we already provided by listening to members of the community, Linux Lite evolves. I've kind of looked at Linux Lite a couple times now, and it's one of those, I put it right up there with Linux Mint. If I was going to put an operating system on a friend's computer and he was interested in Linux, Linux Lite would probably be right up next to Linux Mint. If not equal to it, just one step under it. So this is going to take a few minutes. It's almost finished copying, but then it's going to set up the hard drives and install the system, making it CPIO. So just to save a little time, I'm going to go ahead and just pause the video. Okay, so one thing I want to point out before this gets through is I keep running across this sentence right here, and I'm not sure what to make of it. If you want to use Linux, use Linux. And don't compare it to Windows or Mac or any other operating system, Android. It doesn't matter. Quit saying that this created to make the transition from MS Windows to a Linux-based operating system smooth as possible. Not true. Linux is not Windows. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. When you get down into the nitty-gritty of it, if you will, if it works, then the end result is it works. So if you're using Windows, for example, and it works, use it. If you're using Linux and it works, you use it. That's the bottom line. If it works for you and it's a pleasurable experience, then keep it like that. Anyway, I just never really know what to make of that argument about trying to make something easy from coming from Windows. If a guy's leaving Windows or if a person is leaving Windows, then they know a little bit and they're going to be interested on their own, and they're not going to need to read somebody's blog saying this is going to make it easier to go from Windows to Linux. Because the truth is, once you get into Linux, you're not really doing anything much like you did in Windows. Even installing a simple program is a world of difference. True, the end result is they both get installed, but how they got installed is different. And with software that you grab off the internet, a .exe file, a lot of times you'll install that and there'll be a little trick window come up there that says we're going to install this alongside or with. And if you're not paying attention and just click the next button, you might end up with 5 or 6 pieces of software that you didn't have a clue where they came from. Well, that don't happen in Linux. Or at least in my experience, I have yet to see that. When I click on some software that I'm trying to install, or I go to the command line or GUI package manager, whatever, and I install a program, you don't get all that spyware and things that might trick you into installing them, whether you really wanted them or not. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I love Linux. And I said love Linux, not like it. I love Linux. And one of them is for the package management. I got tired of every time I would install something. Got programs right now on disk, .exe files that when you install them, you need to pay attention, because if you don't, like I said, you'll end up with some stuff on there that you have no idea where it came from. And most of the time, it's spying on you. But I'm talking about the software. Okay, we're running dpkg, unpacking the device. We're about through here. Staying up to date with Linux Lite is a breeze. Click on the menu, favorites, install updates, and follow the instructions. Click on the menu, favorites, install updates. That is pretty easy. Yeah, I really have a hard time trying to understand why people want to say Linux is this and Linux is that, and it's a lot better than Windows. Well, that's not true. What works for you is the best. And if you just go to Google and type in there best Linux distribution, you're going to get I mean, I did that. I literally did that a few years back when I first started exploring and getting to know Linux. I did that. What's the best Linux distribution? You're going to get a ton of information, and probably a metric ton if that weighs a little more. Anyway, finish cleanup of temporary directories. Well, guess I could have paused it again. And maybe I probably should have, because it's unpacking the Linux module extra, the generics. We can look at the menu. The menu is not going to change. Under My Computer, that takes you to your user directories, documents, home, file system, music, pictures, downloads, etc. Under Settings, you can get to these settings by clicking on the Settings Manager or panel. Under Accessories, we got Application Finder, Archive Manager, Backups. I'm assuming that's Time Shift. And I hate this where it just don't tell you, it doesn't tell you the name of the program, it tells you, or software, it tells you a generic term for it. Calculator, file search, font, screenshot, and a text editor. I wonder if that is Z. Mousepad. Okay, alright. Back to here, that was under Accessories. Under Graphics, we're going to get a document scanner, image editor, paint, and photo manager. See if I can turn that off real quick. So you go properties. And by the way, that is by default the whisker menu. Show generic application name, show category name, position categories, next panel button, behavior. Huh. That did it. Catfish file search. Yeah, so now we got the names of the actual software. Under Internet, we got Firefox, Network Connections Manager. I'm assuming that would be like for Wi-Fi, or if you wanted to set up a static IP address of that nature. Oh, got support right in the menu. That's pretty nice. Thunderbird Mail, multimedia. Got us a CD burner. Probably not gonna read. This is Xfce burn. So I should close that out of the way. Multimedia, we got VLC media player by default and a volume control down here as well, but this is the Hey-Voo control. And it's not playing any sound, but I bet there is music because we heard this login sound for one. Under multimedia, under My Computer, again, we got the user directories, new document, presentation, spreadsheet, PDF viewer. Settings, that's here. System, we got install, remove software, that is going to be Synaptic. Partition drive, that's probably Gparted. And this stuff should stay there. Whatever we're getting right now seeing right now should be on the installed system. Printer support right out of the box. Nice. Resource usage. I see what that is. HTOP. System information. So this is hard info. Very nice program. Extremely nice. Matter of fact, be included by default. System log, task manager, time shift, Xfce4 terminal or Xfce terminal. Down at the bottom there, we got our menu, settings manager, lock screen, switch the user, log out, power off, and a search box. And no matter what edits I make right here, it's not gonna, I'll have to redo it. So category name, application tooltip, show application descriptions, search, see what that looks like. Search up here at the top, categories over here. Nice. Yep. Yeah, I like that better. I like to know the name of the software, not a description. Descriptions, as you might guess, can be deceiving. So we went through the menu. There's not really much more to go. We do have what looks like the standard Xfce plugin top block. But it's got a little more control. You can change your font size, you can change the format. Let's see, time and then the date, and date then the time. Pretty nice. I've always liked Linux Lite. Just for some reason, when I look around in it, it does feel comfortable. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video because this might take another few minutes. Not really much more I can say about Linux Lite. From the DistroWatch blog, it says Linux Lite is a beginner-friendly Linux distribution based on Ubuntu's long-term support LTS release, featuring the Xfce desktop. Linux Lite primarily targets Windows users. It aims to provide a complete set of applications to assist users with their everyday computing needs, including a full Office suite, media players, and other essential daily software. Like I said, that's on DistroWatch. From the Wikipedia, Linux Lite was created to make the transition from MS Windows to a Linux-based operating system, and I've read enough. I don't get that. I don't really get that. That had nothing to do with how I discovered Linux. It had nothing to do why I would rather use Linux or Unix rather than Windows. It has nothing to do with those things. Nothing I install says, oh, this reminds me of Windows. Great. I'm going to shut up. I am going to pause the video though. I'll be back. Okay, so it got finished finally. It seemed like it took for a while. You know, as long as everything works, I guess I'm okay. I'm going to click on continue testing. And let's just go to the start button. Here we go. I didn't want to lock the screen. I wanted to restart. And somewhere in here it's going to say remove the ISO and press enter. See? But it actually removes it. It's not here. It'll actually remove it out in a virtual box on its own. Linux Lite 5.6-6. Less than a week old. The ISO latest release, less than a week old. How dare you move yourself back? There's our login screen. English US. Go ahead and log in. Been long enough. And I hear sound. Okay. So this would be the welcome screen you're going to get greeted with. The install now button still on it. Install updates. I'm not going to do that in the drive, but it does. Go to the dark theme. Okay. We're back. What? Huh. So what? I have to just close out of it? I see this. It just changed the view of it. I'm going to go ahead and just close out. And I'd be willing to bet that the light welcome accessible. I'm going to turn this off, untick it, so it will not show it to me next time. So if you had NVIDIA drivers or any other drivers, Wi-Fi that you needed to get installed, I would assume click right here and it'll search for it. Let's see. We don't want. So well, there is no checking for it. All drivers. Oh, click on it. Search for available drivers. We're using the VMware. Okay. Cloud box, yes. Okay, easy enough. And our menu stayed the same. I wonder, can I move these icons, thumbnails? Yeah. The only one I can remove this way is that, like that. I will say they do have some nice background. Settings, display, see what kind of 14 this close. So I mean, we have the same exact menu, everything we just went over. The only thing I'm gonna do is change it where it actually tells me, like I did on the live ISO, change it where it tells me actually the name of the software that I'm looking for. Hard drive setting, home disk by default. That's Linux Lite, guys. You know, like I said, I know a lot of people don't like it, and there's a lot of reasons not to like it. But there is also some good points. If I would have discovered Linux Lite before I discovered, say, for instance, MX Linux, then Lite might have been my system. I don't know. I could see where it would be easy to like and easy not to like. And I don't know what the Linux security software would say about it either. It is based around Debian, Ubuntu, LTS. So that's it. The installation is going to take you a minute, so be ready for that. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on another video. Peace out, guys. Be safe and be kind.